A courage campaign. I think you and I were on the radio together on the Warren Olney show. Possible about 6-8 months ago.
Could have been. Where's Warren Olney out of?
Well, he's out of LA, but it was an NPR radio show. I think you and I and I think Maggie Gallagher was on that too, as I recall.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that or not?
I kind of vaguely,
yeah.
but then maybe I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. So it's interesting. We didn't see any protests on the other side. I'm very much in favor of marriage equality, but we didn't see any peep from anybody in California when the judge ruled last week. I mean, nothing.
On the other side, what do you mean?
Meaning on your side, on the side of folks who claim to say that there's a groundswell of people against this. We didn't see any people or swell or anything.
I don't know who you were listening to, but
well, I was watching.
If you
were there.
Well, or you're talking about physically there.
I was physically there. I was watching. There was no newspaper report, no video, not even on Fox News. We didn't see anything. And the politicians didn't say anything. It was just dead. It was like crickets on the other side.
Well, we heard about it all over the country. You may not listen to Christian radio, Christian talk, conservative talk on Fox and all those places. Over the days around the decision, there was much discussion.
But there were no people. Like, I mean, the thing that's interesting is, of course, the polls have changed drastically in California. Now you've only got 41% who would say they would vote for Prop 8 again. So that's obviously fading away and would lose.
Oh, I disagree with that.
Well,
the
polls here saying that it was incontrovertible.
Are you going to let me talk, or are you going to take all the
my sentence?
Okay.
You just cited the polls
I don't have to talk to you at all.
If you don't want to, don't.
So let me say something. Your polls beforehand said that we wouldn't win in California.
Right.
And we did win. So let's just go back to the authenticity and veracity of those polls. May not be all that you say. So to infer that there's some waning tide.
Well, there's certainly nobody showing up. Nobody showed up on this whole tour. I think
You've been here the whole time?
Anthony has been, Arisha, they've been on the whole tour. Check it out at nomtourtracker.com.
Okay.
Nobody showed up. I mean, they had 500 people on the side of equality and justice in Madison, and I think there were 10 people on the NOM side. And I don't know where NOM gets its money, but it seems to have a lot of it. You'd think they'd be able to turn people out.
I can't answer that question.
No, I'm not asking you. I'm just kind of observing.
Okay.
And I'm just curious, where is the energy? It seems to me the energy now in America is around social justice and economic justice, and not so much around these fringy issues.
Well, I wouldn't call it a fringy issue.
Curious if NOM and folks are going to call Meg Whitman out in California for not being more vocal. I mean, she seemed to kind of not even want to talk about it.
I can't answer that. I'm sorry.
I mean, I know, but I guess what we're saying is that this is just not a political issue at all. And I guess if you guys have enough money, you can try to make it that, but it doesn't seem to work. It just doesn't seem to work.
Well, I guess we're going to see if it works.
Right.
It worked in California with a large percentage of people voting against it, and one judge has really tried to silence the voice of the people. So we'll see what works.
Yeah, I guess, if I'd had my way, we wouldn't be voting on each other's rights. I happen to believe what Madison talked about with the tyranny of the majority, and I really believe what Ted Olson has to say is about as conservative as they get.
Oh, he's not conservative on this issue, obviously.
Well, I guess it depends how you define conservative, right?
Yeah,
you may be very
does.
conservative on this issue if you consider the Constitution in a strict way.
Well, nothing about same-sex marriage is in the Constitution.
Well, there's nothing about marriage.
We would agree on that. So what you've got is somebody reading into a document and recreating it in his own image. But I would say to you that the ultimate test is going to be at the ballot box.
Tell me, what will you use on November 3rd, day after the election? What would you say would be victory for NOM and the folks that you're talking about are going to inject this into the election? How would you define victory on November 3rd?
Actually, it's a very thoughtful question. I would say that for me, in this particular region, it would be if we got somebody pro-traditional marriage person elected to city council in the district. If some of the people who have come out and talked against our side were removed from office in Maryland, those would be tangible steps.
I'm just curious about one thing. Do you know you must know gay people.
Oh yeah.
And do you know gay people with children?
In my world, I don't have any friends. I know gay people in my
In your circle.
my circle, broader circle that have
Right.
kids. But no, I don't have close friends that are gay with kids.
And what do you think about gay people who have kids? I mean, should they be allowed to have kids?
Well, my concern really is, I think as long as the laws of the land permit it, I think we're a country of we the people.
Absolutely.
And whatever we the people decides doesn't need my little 2 cents worth. So, I mean, because you
It always does need. I would disagree. I think we the people, part of the reason we are the people is because we can all agree to disagree civilly and we can keep moving, right? I think that's great. So your
No, I
2
do
cents
think-
are important.
Well, from my perspective then, the real challenge to me is much more multiple generational in that I think the radical redefinition of marriage, the kind of things that are going to be taught in the schools, those are the things that concern me the most. And I'm not really in the place of trying to evaluate somebody's parenting skills from another and that kind of thing.
Right.
But those are really my concerns.
Is
Sure.
it possible that by actually having people desire to enter the institution of marriage and to have kids in that institution, they're not traditional families, as you would define it, is it possible that would actually strengthen the institution of marriage because it becomes a more cherished institution in that sense?
No, I don't think so, because I think to redefine it destroys it, in my opinion. But the more appropriate question may be, if I were asking in your place, is do you think that those individual children are going to be helped? I think that's more.
That's a good question.
Is a more persuasive argument
question.
on your side. But from my point of view, no, I don't think the institution. I'm fighting against a redefinition, and I think what's really in a classic juxtaposition is the right of an individual, his own personal happiness, and the responsibility of the culture to do what they think is best and not feel as though, for me,
Right.
I'm not squashing one person to lift up this culture, but I'm very concerned at the direction.
It's a pleasure to talk to you. I really appreciate it. I'm going to give
Thank
you a
you.
card, and I would love to be able to talk again.
Well,
If
you're
willing to do that.
Yeah, well, you're a very kind gentleman.